Welcome to FRCmedia News for Thursday, January 11th, 2018. I'm Keith Tebow. Tonight we recap the details of that major flooding incident at BMC Durfee High School this week, as well as a gas leak the same day at the Tansy Elementary School. We also take a look back at the city's hurdles when dealing with the first major snowstorm of the year. But first, let's check in with digital news editor Will Richmond of the Herald News to talk about these stories. These were the big stories of the week. Will, welcome.
Hi, Keith. How you doing?
Good. Let's get right to what happened on Wednesday at BMC Durfee High School. I guess a little after 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning, the fire department received an alarm at Durfee High School. When they approached the school, they noticed that there was an issue with a burst pipe on the third and fourth floor of the science wing, which is actually, I guess, you know, for those of you who know Durfee, it's sort of built on a hill. That is part of toward the hillside of Durfee, which is on the west side of the building. Some 50,000 gallons of water leaked out before the fire crews were able to get it under control. It's been a massive cleanup effort at Durfee for the past 2 days now. I guess in terms of what happened, is there anything new to report in terms of, you know, Matt Malone said it was an old pipe that just failed. Is there any other new news items around the flooding that we can report on?
Really, as of today on Thursday afternoon, it seems that they're still focused mainly on the remediation and getting the school cleaned up. You know, they just mentioned about 1:45 today that they are going to open the school on Friday. So I think, you know, we're all aware of the condition of Durfee. There's that great push to build a new Durfee that's taking place right now as well. So the theme seems to be that it was just an old part that finally gave way, had nothing to do with the weather. And, you know, whether or not that's not the case, that may be a cause for further exploration as they kind of move away from the cleanup phase to the investigatory phase of what happened here. But from the last we've continued to hear, it's just that it's an old piece to an old school that has fallen apart.
Now, Superintendent Malone said yesterday that he believed, I think, 13 to 15 classrooms were immediately impacted by the flooding. Do you have any indication on how they're going to deal with when students do come back tomorrow, whether they'll be able to utilize some or parts of those rooms? Have you assessed any of that as of yet?
They have said in their opening announcement that they do have a contingency plan in place to move students to classrooms that are available. You know, not that this has been said through this process, but as part of the new Durfee process, it has been said that sort of the school has gotten too big for what is needed for the student population. That would seem to potentially indicate that there is room in the school to move students around without it affecting classrooms that are needed or already in use. So it seems they do have space to move students to. It would seem the bulk of classes were science lab classrooms. You know, they're probably not moving to a science lab classroom that was in use or that wasn't in use. So it may hamper the lessons that are being taught and the availability of some of that equipment. But at least at this point, it does appear they do have the room to move students into open space.
Now, does the school department have insurance for this type of incident? And I'm sure, you know, there's still calculations that need to be made. But have you heard yet in terms of the value of the damage that was done?
I don't think so, because I think they'll wait to calculate that with the remediation process as well. So. Sure. You know, and I think they're still, as they're cleaning up and they're getting kind of doing an inventory on the loss, they'll start to compile that number up as well.
Very, very difficult situation at Durfee High School. And, you know, students at the school last week lost 2 days due to the snow event, and this week losing 2 more days. So there'll be some extra time being served by those students at Durfee High School. Related, as you mentioned, there has been a push for quite some time to build a new BMC Durfee High School. The school committee last fall voted to move forward with that process. Part of the process is the need to override Proposition 2.5 to help pay for the bonding toward this process. The City Council, newly elected, newly inaugurated City Council, met for the first time this Tuesday. And one of the only items on the agenda was to set a date for a special election to discuss and have the voters decide on a Proposition 2.5 override for the $260 million plus construction of a new Durfee High School, most of which would be reimbursed by the state's Building Assistance Fund. And at the meeting this week, based on a new section of the Fall Charter, the City Council has, one councilor has the opportunity to object to an issue, to in effect put off an item to the next meeting. City Councilor Steve Camara did do that this week, and it was interesting that it was literally hours before the pipe burst at Durfee High School. So as of right now, the City Council has yet to vote on whether to place this on the ballot. Talk about how the meeting went down and Councilor Camara's reasons for objecting to the vote.
Yeah, Councilor Camara's colleagues were certainly trying to push him to avoid the objection and allow the council to vote on this so that it could head towards a special election. His argument is that the public needs to be made more aware of what the costs will be, what the impact will be on taxpayers, and that sort of thing. Certainly, you know, he has said that when it comes back up for vote again, he will vote to let it move forward to a special election, but that he wanted to raise those questions and make sure that they were in the public realm as early as possible so that the questions could be asked before a vote of the public is taken, which should hopefully or should potentially happen in March. Also
part of his contention, and I believe it was also a contention by City Councilor Sean Kadim, was the fact that in the order to set the election, there were no dollar figures involved. In effect, some people who've been critical of this process thus far have said that if there's no dollar amount associated with the special election, that the city in effect could have a blank check, if you will, to pay for this project. I want your reaction to that, but I also want your reaction based on a line that was written by Joe Good in the article that was in today's paper. The city would receive potentially a large amount of the funding, upwards of 80%, from the Massachusetts School Building Authority. And there's a line in the article which speaks to the fact about the listing of how much the project would cost in the ballot question. And I'm going to read directly from the story, Will. It says, according to the Massachusetts School Building Authority rules, financial aspects of any school project are not allowed within the ballot question. So from what you understand, does this mean that if a ballot question were to go through, there would not be a dollar figure associated with it?
Well, even without the number being on the ballot, and I'm not sure how that could affect the total, the outcome of what essentially becomes the budget of the project, the city does have an ordinance in place which permits for the mail-in of pro and con statements ahead of the election. So the numbers are included in there as well. Now, you know, certainly a ballot question and a mailed out statement are two separate documents. One is much more binding than the other.
Right.
But there would be a level of accountability based on those pro-con statements as well, which, to my understanding, can include the financial information, you know, to hold elected officials in the city too.
Right. But it appears, based on that line in the article, that the number may not necessarily be within the language of the ballot question.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting as we move forward. Any word on, I know that City Council President Cliff Ponte had mentioned that he would be setting a special City Council meeting to take this item up. Under the new charter, the objection can either be heard at the next City Council meeting, which will be on the 23rd, or a special meeting of the City Council. Has Council President Ponte set that yet?
To my knowledge, it has not been set yet. We're waiting to still hear from him today. Though at this point, the earliest it would seem that meeting would be able to happen is probably Tuesday due to the Monday holiday.
And if it were to be held that day, is it still safe to say that all the workings could be put into effect to have the special election to be held on March 6th, which was the original date?
I would think so. I didn't hear any objections that even if it was to happen at the next council meeting, that it would delay that date at all. So it would seem that if they can get it done within the next week to two, then they'll be able to move forward with that March 6th date.
All right, last week on this week's program, we were in the midst of the city's first major snowstorm of 2018, and the city has caught quite a bit of negative reaction to its handling of the snow. The parking ban in the city of Fall River lasted upwards of 5 days. Many of the streets were not totally cleared until early this week, and looks like there's still some belly aching, if you will, by some people. I guess with the weather coming up on Friday of heavy rain, that may add to some of the angst. But what were you guys able to find out in terms of what happened in terms of clearing the snow? We'll have more, by the way, on this a little bit later on. We did speak with the DCM director, but what have you guys learned?
Well, the story so far has been that they've done the best job that they could, that there was a lot of snow to be taken care of, and you know, they have focused really on the main thoroughfares in the city. You know, the day after the storm, there were heavy equipment out on South Main Street in the area of the courthouse to truck snow away. They're using the former Watuppa Heights site as sort of a dumping ground for all the snow that's removed. But I think even today, there's main roadways, you know, coming in on Milliken Boulevard. There's sections where lanes are halfway filled with snow still. So, you know, the effort seems to be continuing on, and I know there's some hope that the rain will help to get rid of some of it. But on the other hand, there's a large concern, as we talked with Public Utilities Director Terrence Sullivan yesterday, about his concerns of catch basins being blocked,
right,
and what that would mean for flooding in city streets over the weekend as these heavy rains are expected.
Well, all we can hope is that is the biggest storm of the year and the only storm of this winter. All right, Will, what's coming up over the next few days?
Sure. This weekend, we're taking a look at the company that has plans to purchase the Brayton power site and what they've done with other projects in the past and their success with those.
Sounds good. All right, Will, we'll talk next week. Take care.
Have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Fall River Career Center. Automotive Service Technician. Firestone Complete Auto Care, located at 748 Pleasant Street, is seeking a full-time, experienced automotive service technician to perform work as outlined on repair orders and diagnose and complete malfunctions. Job number 10098153. Clinical Secretary. Bay Cove Human Services, a mental health services agency, is in need of a part-time clinical secretary to support the clinical staff with administrative duties as well as schedule appointments to urgent care adults. Job number 10091754. Fulfillment Associate. Amazon, located at 1180 Innovation Way, is looking for a full-time fulfillment associate, responsible for fulfilling customers' orders and following strict safety, quality, and production standards. Job number 10075373. Kindred at Home is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions in the Fall River area. Registered Nurse. Job number 10098176. Occupational Therapist. Job number 10095200. PJ Keating & Company is looking to fulfill the following full-time positions in the southeastern Massachusetts area. Project Superintendent, job number 10099211. Project Engineer, job number 10099213. For more information on these or other positions, visit FRCmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. As we mentioned earlier, the top story of the week is the damage suffered at BMC Durfee High School due to a burst pipe on the 4th floor of the science building Wednesday morning, which spewed out some 50,000 gallons of water. Work crews were called in to clean up the mess, and school was canceled on Wednesday and Thursday. School Superintendent Matt Malone, accompanied by several school committee members, were on hand that day to tour the school. Later, Malone held a press conference reiterating his stance that a new high school must be built. He cited the aging pipe bursting as just one of many reasons.
New building campaign to build a new Durfee High School. This building quite frankly, is the worst design high school in America. I've done this work, been the Secretary of Education for the Commonwealth. I can say quite clearly that this is the worst design high school. We need a new high school. And this is evident today in looking at not only what caused this to happen, but then to see the conditions of what our classrooms look like in general, even without the leak. This is a building that doesn't befit a city with a stature and a tradition and a history such as Fall River that our kids deserve. We need a new high school.
Also, as we mentioned earlier, the night before, the City Council took action that would prevent the special election be held to build a new BMC Durfee High School. School administration was hoping that the special election would be held in March. Newly appointed school committee member Joshua Hetzler, who was one of the members at Durfee when it flooded, speaks about his disappointment with the council's decision.
Well, I would like to get the show on the road, so to speak. Let's get the ballot question out there. Let's get this to the voters and let them decide, whether or not we're going to pay for a new Durfee or, or we're just going to repair it,
But a couple of the councilors said no. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, everybody has their own reasons, their own beliefs for their decisions. So, let them do their thing. Personally, I'm obviously in favor of a new Durfee building. If anybody who's worked in this building will tell you that there are some issues in there that need to be addressed, and as Matt has been saying, and everybody tells me that the building was designed 40 years ago, and at the time, the educational setting, they thought differently about it. Now we know that this isn't conducive for learning, so a new design is really going to benefit the students.
But do you take the city council objection as no, we don't want a school? I mean, that's in a sense against the school department and the school administration.
Right, I definitely was not happy with the objection at all. I think you could have had the discussion. We could move this forward and get things going. Did
it come as a surprise?
It did. I wasn't prepared for an objection. I figured they were going to just, all right, let's get this out to the voters and let them decide. But that didn't happen.
As work crews were cleaning up after the Durfee flood, there was a gas leak reported at the nearby James Tansey Elementary School. Some 200 students were evacuated to the Durfee High School auditorium, as is protocol in emergency situations. Parents were notified and told that they could pick up their children at the close of school on Wednesday. Students did return to class on Thursday after the problem had been resolved. In the end, School Superintendent Matt Malone was pleased with the teamwork involved to fix both school-related problems.
And we've handled two major crises in 2.5 hours. I can tell you that I'm more than impressed. I'm blessed. I'm lucky that I got the team I have here. And you can see, if you go around right now, you'll see police, fire, EMS, city, elected officials, appointed officials, and then all our employees working together. You don't see that many places. It's not about territory or turf, it's about teamwork.
Also this week, as we mentioned earlier, the Correa administration had a major issue on its hands cleaning up after the first major snowstorm of 2018. That caused havoc on city streets and walkways for a week. A parking ban was lifted Monday, some 5 days after the storm. A slew of angry residents took to social media to complain about the lack of effective snow removal efforts during the days that followed the blizzard. FRCmedia News spoke with the city's Department of Community Maintenance Director Jeffrey Little to get the city's side on this issue.
The major problems were that once we had the parking ban in effect, we tried to give the people enough time to get their cars and move them out of the areas that were going to be problem areas. Even after we had the parking ban in effect for 12 hours, even into the storm, the cars that shouldn't have been parked in the places that they didn't move them.
Now, can you understand the residents being upset?
Absolutely.
And what would you say to them?
I would say try to be a little understanding. We're doing the best we can. We've been working around the clock now for 4 days. Just give us a little time. We're trying to fix everything that needs to be taken care of.
And you didn't want to tow the cars early on, is that it?
Correct. We wanted to give them enough time so they would be able to move their vehicles. Nobody wants to spend $100, $200 to have their vehicle towed. But there were some people that just didn't adhere to it, and that caused us problems later on in the storm, because then we got buried with snow, and even the tow companies couldn't keep up. And once the car is covered in snow, you can't get a tow company to come and tow it. It's hard when you're talking managing over 1.5 feet of snow. It's difficult, and we need the cooperation of the citizens. when the parking ban does go into effect, please don't leave your cars on the side of the road because it causes a big problem for us.
Tell us about how difficult it is for the plows to actually get through the streets.
Well, when you have a car parked on each side of the street and you have a street that's only 22 feet wide, that's leaving you only maybe a 10-foot path. And 90% of the plows have a plow blade that's 10 feet or wider. So that's a problem right there, is just getting the trucks down the road on some of the narrower streets when you have parking on both sides.
Now, some of the people were complaining about the fact that they cleaned out their driveway and then the snowplows came in and blocked them in again. Have you heard that complaint?
I have. And again, that goes with, we try to go back and widen the street, but that's what's going to happen. Every time that we widen the street, the snow is going to go somewhere. So once we start widening the street and pushing it closer to the curb, it's going to block those driveway entrances and it's going to block the sidewalk entrances. And in some cases, it's going to push the snow back onto the sidewalk. It'd be nice if the citizens could just wait until we're done plowing. This way, we wouldn't be plowing the snow back into their driveway once they've cleaned it out.
And you do understand people have places to go, but in a snowstorm like that,
they should be staying home.
Anyway.
That's right.
So you're saying just wait a little bit?
Wait a little while, if you can. If you really don't have any place to go, if you have no emergencies, just wait until the storm is over. Wait until we've had time to get down to your street and clean it out.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
So today on Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, we have Blaze. He is an 8-year-old pitty. This poor guy was surrendered to us. Although he is an older man at 8 years old, he still has a bunch of energy and acts like a puppy. He does know his commands, but as a pit he is stubborn sometimes. He is very well-mannered. He is house-trained as far as we are aware. And he is already neutered and up to date on his vaccinations, of course. He does get along with other dogs. And he really loves squeaky toys, if you can't tell. So if you would like to meet Blaze or any of our other shelter animals, feel free to come down to Forever Paws. We're open every day 11 to 4, besides for Wednesdays, and we're located at 300 Linwood Avenue. Today on Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, we have Miyu. She's about a year old. She is a domestic short-haired tabby cat. She came in with her sister Princess, who is also strikingly gorgeous. These guys have only been with us for a couple days. As you can see, she's a very curious but very friendly cat. She loves to be cuddled. She loves to be loved up on. As you can see, very sweet. So if you're looking for a cat that wants a lot of attention and also isn't going to be afraid of everything, I believe she would be the cat for you. Also, she has these beautiful green eyes. So if you'd like to meet Miyu or her sister Princess, come on down to Forever Paws. We're located at 300 Linwood Avenue. Open every day 11 to 4, besides for Wednesdays and major holidays. Come visit. So sweet.
Welcome back. Martin Luther King Jr. Day will be celebrated this Monday, January 15th. Bristol Community College will hold its 18th annual breakfast to honor the civil rights activist. Meanwhile, in order to help the city's young people appreciate the value of civic duty, Mayor Jazio Correa's Youth Council will take the holiday to participate in a civic-minded project.
At a December meeting of the Mayor's Youth Council, we identified wanting to do a community service project. So we're going to be participating in the Martin Luther King Day of Service, going to be taking place at the Fall River Boys and Girls Club on Bedford Street from 10 to 12 on Monday. It's going to be a very simple project. We're looking to write letters to servicemen and servicewomen serving overseas.
How many youth are involved, and what kind of letters will they be writing?
We have no clue on how many youth are going to be involved. It's just trying to recruit, and MLK is promoted as a day on, not a day off. So I know Youth Build hopefully will also be joining us, and just really aggressively trying to recruit youth. But ultimately it's a long-term trying to instill the importance of service to the community.
And when are the letters going out?
Well, the letters will be completed on Monday, and then it's working with someone from the armed services to deliver. So we'll have like a box of letters that we'll pass along, and then how the process goes is beyond our control.
The Greater Fall River Fitness Challenge is kicking off this weekend, and people of all ages are welcome to attend. Here's more.
You have to be 16 years of age or older to participate in the challenge and be weighed in and be eligible for prizes. However, between the ages of 16 and 18, you do need a parent signature signing off that you're able to participate. But we have had younger kids participate in the actual challenges themselves. So if you have somebody over the age of 10 that wants to be doing the workouts with mom or dad, you can just talk to the fitness partner and they will let you know what kind of workout it is and what the child needs to be doing in order to stay safe. Our fitness challenges fall on Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 7:30 and Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We have a couple of guest fitness partners which will be doing once a month challenges, which will fall on, I believe, Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings after our normal challenge. So if you're looking to get in a 2-a-day, you can get a 2-a-day on those days. And then we have our regular discounts that the fitness partners offer. So it might be dropping in for a free class, or a $5 drop in to use the pool at the YMCA, or something along those lines. So you can get up to 3 or 4 free workouts per week, and then you can work out on the other days at a very low cost.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and online via our website, frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.